Hi, everybody. My name is Erica Wiggenhorn, and I first found Jesus when I was 14 years old. I did not grow up in the church, but my grandparents moved in with us when I was 13. And if you ever met my grandfather, you would know there was absolutely no way you were going to live under his roof and not go to church on a Sunday morning. So starting at age 13, our family packed up and we followed my grandparents and we went to church, and I had a wonderful youth pastor whose name was Mark. And after answering my bazillion questions about who this Jesus guy was, I was finally convinced that he did die on the cross for my sins, and I needed that payment because I was a hot mess. No one actually knew quite how much of a hot mess I was, because I was really, really good at being pretty much perfect as far as how I appeared on the outside. But Mark told me that if I was going to follow Jesus, I needed to have a quiet time. Well, there's two things about me that you probably should know. One, I don't like to be quiet. And two, I don't like to sit still. So this was going to prove a little bit of a problem for me. But Mark gave me my student Bible with all of Jesus's words to me in bright red letters, and he sent me home. And as I opened up my Bible on my bed, growing up in LA, the concrete jungle of Los Angeles, I began to read my Bible. And Jesus talked about things like mustard seeds and wheat tares and millstones and plowshares and yokes and oxen and things I had never in my life seen before, and I had no idea what Jesus meant. And I said to him in that moment, as I sat on my bed, how am I supposed to follow you when I can't even understand you? And I felt guilty because I did not like reading my Bible. And Pastor Mark said I needed to read my Bible if I was going to follow Jesus. So my Bible sat on my nightstand, and every now and then when I felt guilty enough to kind of dust it off and open up its pages, I would start to read it, and I would feel ashamed. I would feel ashamed because I didn't understand it and I didn't know how to apply it to my life. And I would go to church and I would meet people who talked about reading their Bible and how God spoke to them when they read their Bible. And I never heard God speak to me when I read my Bible. So my Bible sat on my nightstand a whole lot more than it ever got opened, but I faithfully took it to church with me and would open it up there and occasionally learn little bits and pieces about Jesus and all those red letters in my Bible, but I never read the Bible on my own. Fast forward about 20 years later, I was in an incredibly dark place in my life, and a friend of mine said, you need to come with me to Bible study. And I was like, ooh, that book again. I don't know. And I didn't want to go to Bible study because, one, I didn't want anybody to know how little I actually knew about the Bible. And two, my experience with time in the Bible had not been a very positive one. But she insisted. I went kicking and screaming and went to my first Bible study. And there, God did something amazing. He put me in a group with a whole bunch of other people who had been studying the Bible for a lot of years and actually loved the Bible. And they were those weird people that God spoke to them when they read their Bible. And they began unlocking the mystery of Scripture for me. And for the first time in my life, I began to actually enjoy reading my Bible. And the more time I spent in my Bible, the more I understood how much this God that had saved me loved me and cared about every detail of my life. He didn't care about just taking me to heaven when I died. That was my understanding of what being a Christian was. Oh, goody, I have my get out of hell free card. I didn't get that he was with me every moment, and he wanted to talk to me throughout my day, and he wanted to be the person that I ran to when I felt afraid or confused or had questions. I was learning all new things about this great God of the Bible. And in that moment, as I was studying and finally beginning to just have scripture come alive to me, I thought to myself, man, if only I would have had a tool in my hand so many years ago when I first started following Jesus that would explain the Bible to me and how to apply it to my 21st century teenage girl living in suburbia life. What a game changer that would have been. I felt so saddened that I had been a Christian for so many years and yet never really knew Jesus. I knew about Jesus. I knew a few stories and I'd heard a lot of sermons, but I didn't really know Jesus. And I hadn't really experienced intimacy with him myself until I had this mystery of the scriptures unlocked. And so that became a catalyst for me wanting to create those tools. And that's how I became a Bible study writer, because I want everybody to be able to get their face in the book and live like it's true and understand what it means for them in their day-to-day life, in their cubicle on the 5th floor, in their classroom down the street, in their kitchen while they're chopping vegetables to put in their crock pot, in their neighbor's backyard as they're just talking and laughing together. What does Jesus really mean in all those red letters? And what does it mean for you? And so that became how I started writing Bible studies. And so now here I am teaching the Bible. I get to be on amazing shows and meet incredible hosts like Shug and just share about who Jesus is and what he's doing in my life. But more importantly, opening his word and letting you have that invitation that he wants to do these things in your life, and that there are resources out there. There are people who have resources, who are ready and willing to come alongside of you to unlock this mystery of the marvelous Jesus.